something so many bereaved parents struggle with is the feeling of grief. And I want to share my personal experience and how I was able to release those feelings of grief and continue with my daughter's legacy and letting her light forever shine through me instead of being filled with grief and sadness always. Now, I used to own one of the most amazing daycares on the island, and I was on one of those groups myself as well, working as a daycare teacher. I loved my job, I loved my business, and next to that, me wanting to have the most amazing daycare and taking such delicate care in our prepared environment and everything. I also wanted to be the most amazing mom, that example mom that is the owner of a daycare. I was doing attachment parenting, extended breastfeeding, cloth diapering, baby-led weaning, you name it. I was doing all of that. But me being a daycare teacher, me having to watch other children, I didn't realize that while I was visiting friends with my 3 children, that my daughter Cynthia had walked away and walked towards the Intex pool of our friend's house. She climbed up the stairs and she went in the water without wearing her floaties. And I didn't realize because I thought that she was playing inside. Now you can imagine when something like that happens, that you are dealing with the most intense grief. Because if I would have watched her better, if I would have noticed that she would have walked towards the pool, I could have saved her because I didn't see it. I was responsible. That is why my daughter drowned in the pool. But that is not the only reason. Because during my healing journey, I started like every night I was going through the what ifs. What if that person that was facing the pool would have seen it? What if when I stood up, like instead of standing up and looking at the pool twice because the water was very quiet, because a child who is drowning doesn't splash, and my daughter was right around the corner, and that's why I couldn't see it. I saw all the rest of the water, but I saw not right behind the edge, because an Intex pool, the one that she passed away in, was one of those higher ones. So I didn't see her. I didn't realize the water was so quiet. The only thing I heard why I actually looked at the pool was the softest sound, like a turtle plopping in the water, like. And as a mom, you notice. So I stood up, but I didn't see anything. And that other mom also, she told me, "Did you hear anything?" And I said, "I thought so." And she said, "I didn't hear anything." And she was facing the pool. So me thinking she didn't hear anything, she didn't see anything, obviously, otherwise she would have stopped my daughter. Then my daughter must be inside. I also checked if she couldn't be at the other edges because I didn't see her anymore. Now, going through all of the what ifs didn't change a thing. It didn't change anything, making the pain feel any less. It didn't do any of that. So I started researching free will because I knew that if I could be able to travel back in time, I know that I would have done it already and I would have never lost her. So if that's not a possibility, then how are we going to continue? And I started researching free will, starting to search like what makes us make certain choices, have certain behavior, have certain thoughts. And the more and more I dug into that, I realized that free will is nothing but an illusion. There are choices. Yes, there are many choices. And very often we can be aware, can be conscious of what we choose, but most of the time we are unconscious. But it doesn't matter if you make a choice, conscious or unconscious, there is a reason why you make that choice. And that has to do with how you are programmed and also the environment that you are in. I mean, if your parents were not emotionally available for you, you as a child had to give up your authenticity to keep that attachment with your parents, and you have the tendency to become a people pleaser. You're not as in tune with your own gut feeling because you always focus on other people's feelings, because as a child you needed to do so as a survival strategy. So how your parents were emotionally feeling at the time that you were young is really important. The first 7 years of your life, you're living in a different brainwave than an adult. So everything that people say very often gets very, very deep into your subconscious as a strong belief. So if your parents always tell you, like, you are so amazing, you're so smart, you can do anything, you become very secure as a person. But if your parents, each time you do something wrong, say, oh, you're so stupid, like, why can't you do it, like, her, why are you always so slow? If you always hear that, or your mom is a single mom and she's telling you, yeah, your dad was like really, really bad, or men cannot be trusted, that becomes a subconscious belief that you hold that you might not even be aware of. Now, then you have all of the experiences that you have that leave an imprint on your brain, that when you are living your life, each time something reminds your brain of that past situation, you're gonna be like triggered, and you're gonna be acting differently based on that past experience. Of if as a child you were bitten by a dog, as an adult you most probably would not want to have a dog, or you do not like dogs. But if you had a really, really loving dog, then all of a sudden as an adult you might actually want to have a dog. It all depends on the experiences that you had, how your parents have raised you, the people you have surrounding you, the financial stability of your parents, the economy of the country you live in, the religion. And then we also have to think about the foods that you eat, because when you eat something really, really sugary in a moment, you get a sugar spike, you act different than an hour afterwards when you get the sugar crash. You feel different because of that. And also when you eat a lot of sugar, your body becomes addicted to that sugar. So you make different choices than somebody who's always healthy. When you have a sugar addiction, you're gonna eat more sugar. And then maybe you're gonna have more fat if you don't exercise. If your parents never pushed you to do sports as an adult, you will most probably do not want to do sports, unless you have been suffering so much from the overweight that all of a sudden that button gets pushed and you want to change. Because so many times suffering makes us want to change. Losing a child is also so much suffering, so much grief, and so much sadness. And the eating of the candy, the scrolling on Facebook, all of those things that would give us happy hormones to just deal with life, all of a sudden is not enough anymore. And that is why now you're searching for a different way. You need to do something different to make this bearable. Then you have parasites. There are parasites who are inside of rats, and they make these rats become addicted to the smell of cat pee, and therefore they go towards the cat pee, towards the cats, and then the cats eat the rats. And that is what the parasite actually wants, because he wants to continue in a bigger creature in that cat. So actually these parasites also make you think different, make you do more dangerous things, because we have these parasites in human beings as well that actually change us. Then it also depends on how you're feeling, has an influence on your immune system. Also, when you're feeling sick, you act different. Even the simplest things, like when it is bad weather, it makes you act different than when it's good weather. Like, that is why there's always a reason why you make a certain choice, even if you are not aware of it. Even you choosing vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream, there is a reason why you do so. If I would ask you right now, from all the movies in the whole wide world, you get to choose one. Put one in your mind. Now, you've probably seen like hundreds of movies in your life already, but there's a reason why only a couple of them pop up. And, that makes you think like, wow, indeed, we are so programmed. We are so programmed. That's also why hurt people. When people have had certain experiences, even doctors, that make them make certain choices with their patients based on their previous experiences, based on the things that they have learned, based on the things that they have seen, based on how authentic they are, based on how they feel. Like, everything has an influence on our thoughts, on our emotions, on our behaviors, on our choices. And therefore, free will is nothing but an illusion. Even you wanting to grow, you becoming the best version of yourself, that actually is your essence. That is your core calling you back, especially when you are suffering, because suffering is so far away from that loving core that you actually are. And that is why the call to go back, why it feels so strange when you feel so bad. And that is why you not want to suffer like that, because it's so far away from who you are in your essence. Now, if you realize that free will is an illusion, then you have to stop judging yourself. There were reasons why I felt so exhausted on that day that Cynthia passed away. It is because I have been living in survival for, I think back then, for more than 7 years. For all of the years that I've lived in Aruba, I've been struggling with money. I had a lack mindset. That's why I never had an abundance of money. I was struggling with employees. I had so much stress, and I had to do parenting almost alone because I had a partner that I loved so much, that really, really was invested in a job, wanted to be that provider for us, and therefore he needed a lot of time to work. He was working 7 days a week, and as much as I hated it, I was trying to help him, trying to support him in trying to be that provider for us. And as a survival strategy, I would just try and say, like look at me, I have my own business, I'm raising my children on my own, and look at me. Like my firstborn, Orlando, his father didn't want to be there at the delivery because he had a child already, and when he saw the child come out, he said afterwards, I didn't want to have intercourse because yucky. So this time with you, I don't want that. Well, it was my dream to deliver my first child and have my husband there with me, but he didn't want to be there. So as a survival strategy, I was like, I can do everything on my own. And I started researching why women do not need their husband at the delivery, because actually if they are stressed, then it's going to give you more stress. It was a survival strategy over there. And then also my mom has raised me and my sister for a while after she broke up with my father alone as well. And she also wanted to do everything on her own. Like, my ex doesn't want to pay child support, I don't need it, and I'm gonna give my children everything that they want because I'm gonna prove to them that I can do it on my own. So seeing my mom be like that, being a strong woman in her masculine energy, that is what was my example. So that is why I also attracted partners where I had to be that strong, like, woman doing so many things on my own. And it is not to blame any of my ex-partners. That is what my energy was. That is what was programmed in me, and that is what I accepted. If you have parents that were so close together, that were supporting both, that were supporting each other really, really well, everything was balanced, then you would never accept for a man to not be that provider, to not be that protector, because that is not what you have seen. So that, like, I mean, that is my personal experience, but it just shows you that whatever happened couldn't have happened any other way. Whatever choices you made, you try to make the best choice with the programming that you had at the moment. And realizing that is also a part of self-love. Releasing the grief, knowing that you try to do the best with the things that you knew, with the knowledge that you had, with the programming that you had. And if you would go back in time right now, you wouldn't be able to change anything because you would have made the same exact choices. I heard something really, really soft in the water, like I said, like a turtle, but I didn't walk towards the pool to see what it was. When that other person who was looking at the pool told me, you heard something? I didn't hear anything. And she was also looking at it. I'm like, what I thought was like, I must be crazy. because it happened so many times that in the night I would wake up and I'm like, I thought I heard something, and I wake up Jorge. I said, Jorge, I think I heard something. You have to go and check it out. And he would go in the living room and in the kitchen and check it out, and there was nothing. There was nothing. That had happened many times. So I just thought, I am crazy. There's nothing. And especially then when I looked at the kitchen door and I saw that that fly door was all of a sudden closed, I'm like, there's nothing there. And the fly door is closed, so Cynthia must be inside. If I never had those experiences where I'd wake up, where I would hear something and somebody else was like, there's nothing, then I might have gone straight away to the pool if I wasn't as exhausted and breastfeeding my other daughter at the same time. Because when you're breastfeeding, you also become really, really relaxed while you're breastfeeding. Maybe if I wasn't breastfeeding, those are all those what ifs. But those are the reasons why happened what happened. And I wouldn't be able to change it because I wanted to breastfeed, because I wanted to be that most amazing mom, because I felt like I needed that, because somehow I was insecure and I believed that I needed to prove to other people that I was the best daycare, that I was the best mom. But what I didn't do was take good care of myself. I was so exhausted in that moment, and that all had to do with my own limiting beliefs, with not being in my power, with just being a people pleaser, with giving too much of myself and not having any energy left to attract all of those things in my life that I actually needed as a mom. There was a reason why I moved to Aruba, away from my safe village, away from my family, from my support. I was somewhere I didn't have support. I did everything on my own, but I also saw my mom always do everything on her own. And therefore I know I wouldn't be able to change anything. And even Cynthia, she loved water so much. She loved water so much. And you know what? It was one of my fears. I always told Jorge, I never ever want to have a house with a pool for as long as our children do not have a swimming degree, because I knew how much it was a fear. It was on my mind. Drowning is so scary because my children love water so much. But there was also a reason why Cynthia loved it so much. We lived on the island of Aruba. We would every weekend go to the beach, sometimes somewhere to the pool. She loved to sit in the sink with water as well. She just loved water so much, and that was why she was programmed to just want to go and swim. And she couldn't have made any other choice with the programming that she had, with as little as she was. That other mom that was sitting there that said, you heard anything? I didn't hear anything. She's also a mom of 3, and she was also really, really exhausted, having no support, also coming from the Netherlands, living in Aruba. We were all a bunch of moms who were exhausted at the end of our energy. And there was a reason why we came together, and there was a reason why it happened. And it is nobody's fault, because we were programmed. We were not able to make any different choices. And no matter what happened to your child, I want you to also know it couldn't have happened any other way. And I know this can be really, really hard to digest if free will doesn't exist, but it is something beautiful for you to look into. Because when you realize that, you can let go of your judgment with yourself. Because we all have done many things in our past that we are ashamed of, that we wish we would have acted different. We have also been giving a lot of energy to other people because we're upset with what they did. But when you know that only hurt people hurt other people, that is also very freeing for yourself. That is actually very loving for yourself. Doesn't mean that what anybody else did to you is good and you just, oh, free will doesn't exist, I'm just gonna accept you treating me bad. No, actually not. Self-love first. You protect yourself from people who are being unloving, and you distance yourself, but you do not have to judge. You can say, okay, that person is there in their journey, is very, very unloving. It's their program. I could try and teach them something. I could give them a lesson, but I do it without attaching myself to the outcome of it. I just plant the seed, and if this person doesn't learn, he's gonna have really, really bad energy and karma attracting to himself or herself or whoever self. But that's not for you. Because this, when you set yourself free from judging other people, you pull back your own energy. That energy is for manifesting your dream life. That energy, I know your dream life is with your child. But when you know that there's nothing, free will doesn't exist, and you know that when you are out of the body, there is no time and there's no space, and a soul or the essence of a person there is all knowing. Because there, instead of being a particle in the body, now you are a wave of all possibility, and you are all knowing and everything and everyone. And our children are not judging us, not judging the situation anymore. They are feeling unconditional love. And because there's no time there, they can see this whole reality that we are still stuck in. And even before their life started, their soul already knew exactly everything that was gonna happen. It already knew, and still it came. Still it chose you as a mom or a dad to have this experience with together. And for me, I believe that my Cynthia is no longer here with me. And of course, I would want nothing more than to have all of this growth with her right by my side, but I cannot change the past. And therefore, I take with me that every day that she could have been on earth, I have experienced already. And therefore, I'm always carrying this with me. There were never more days to come. I have all of those with me. And therefore, I am so grateful, because if I would go back 5 years, I would have still missed out on so many days with her. But now I have had those. And she has forced me to look at so many fears that I have had before and heal them, and become aware of my own shadow and release all of the negative energy, the traumas, all of the things that have happened and made my mom the way she is, my grandparents the way she is, my father the way he is, that side grandparents the way he is. All of that I am becoming aware of, and I'm breaking that chain. Because from now on, I'm living from my heart, I'm being authentic, and that is what I teach other people. And that is the blessing of Cynthia that keeps going forever. And that is the blessing that your child has also left for you. And that is self-love. Self-love was never about buying yourself new clothing or going to a spa. It was about breaking free from all of those negative emotions and take back your energy and create and release and become the best version of you. And that is, once you've become that best version of yourself, you see your child everywhere. Like even this video, I'm speaking all of this because I've learned it because of Cynthia. I'm helping so many people because of Cynthia. When my other 2 children go to bed, I stroke their hair and I tell them positive affirmations. That is Cynthia. When I look at a picture of my 2 children, I see Cynthia there because they are raised in a different way, because I'm a different mom right now. And they have different beliefs, more positive beliefs, because of Cynthia. I hope this video has helped you. And if you have any questions or comments, please post. And I'm here for you. And if you ever want to have a one-on-one coaching, because everybody's journey is unique, you can go to samlifecoach.com. And we also have our amazing membership, the Awakening membership, specifically for bereaved parents, but only those who are ready to step into their power. Because this is going to be uncomfortable, but this is going to be explosive growth. Talk to you soon.